The sea was quiet that morning, too quiet. The gulls weren't crying, and the waves came in soft and steady, like someone breathing in their sleep. From his small cottage perched on the cliff, Elias Crowe could see the lighthouse just a few hundred yards away, its white paint faded and chipped from years of salt and storms. He had been its keeper for almost 30 years, and now he was the last one left. Elias was 71, with hands that shook when he held his coffee mug and eyes that still searched the horizon out of habit. He had outlived his wife, Marjorie, and his only son, Caleb, who had died at sea when he was just 25. That was 16 years ago, and the ocean hadn't stopped whispering his name since. Every night, Elias still lit the lamp at the top of the tower, even though the Coast Guard had automated everything years ago.
He said it was out of respect.
But the truth was he couldn't stop. The light was all he had left of Caleb. The town of Greyhaven had changed over the years. The fishing boats fewer, the boardwalk emptier, the kids who used to visit the cliffs now all grown up and gone. But Elias stayed, because leaving felt like betrayal. Every morning he'd walk to the lighthouse, climb the narrow spiral staircase, and polish the glass lens until it shone like a tear in the sun. He'd whisper, "For you, son," before lighting the wick. And every night, when the beams swept across the water, he'd imagine Caleb somewhere out there, steering toward home. One windy afternoon in November, Elias heard the crunch of tires on the gravel road. Nobody ever came up here unless something was wrong. A young man stepped out of a red pickup, camera bag slung over his shoulder, hair wild from the wind. "You Elias Crowe?" Elias squinted. "Depends who's asking." The man smiled nervously. "Name's Jonah. I'm doing a photo series on old lighthouses, the people who keep them alive." Elias grunted. "Ain't much life left in this one." Jonah shrugged. "Still standing, isn't it?" There was something in the kid's voice, stubborn, hopeful, that reminded Elias of Caleb. Against his better judgment, he said, "Fine. Come on in." Jonah followed Elias up the spiral steps, clicking his camera quietly. The air smelled of oil, rust, and seaweed. "You live up here all alone?"
Jonah asked.
"Been that way a long time." "Ever get lonely?" Elias looked out the window. "Only when the sea's too quiet." Jonah frowned. "Too quiet." Elias nodded. "Means she's thinking of talking someone back." Jonah laughed softly. "You really believe that?" Elias turned, his eyes hard. "You lose a son to the waves, you start believing all kinds of things." Jonah's smile faded. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. The sea's a jealous thing. Always was." For the next few weeks, Jonah kept coming back. He took photos of Elias lighting the lamp, walking the cliffs, sitting on the porch with a pipe and a faraway look. But it wasn't just a photo project anymore. He started helping Elias with chores, mending nets, repainting the railings, chopping wood. Sometimes they'd talk for hours. Other times, they'd sit in silence, listening to the surf. Jonah never said much about his own life, but one evening, over stew and black coffee, he confessed quietly, "My dad died when I was 9. Car crash. I never really got to say goodbye." Elias nodded slowly. "That kind of silence stays with you." "Yeah." Jonah looked out the window. "Guess I wanted to photograph people who don't run from it." Elias chuckled softly. "Then you came to the right damn place." December rolled in with heavy winds. The lighthouse creaked at night, and the sea beat against the rocks with an angry rhythm. One morning, Elias woke to find Jonah standing outside, staring at the water. "Storm coming," Elias said. Jonah nodded. "It looks alive." "It's always alive," Elias murmured. "That's the problem." Jonah turned. "Tell me about your son." Elias stiffened. "Caleb." Jonah added gently. Elias took a deep breath, eyes fixed on the horizon. He was stubborn as a mule. Thought he could outrun the sea. He was wrong. "What happened?" "Fishing boat went down in a squall. They found his cap 3 miles south. Never found him." Jonah lowered his camera.
"I'm sorry, Elias."
Elias's voice trembled. "I told him to wait one more day. But he said, 'Dad, Storms make the best catches. He waved as he left. That was the last thing I ever saw, his damn grin in the rain. He swallowed hard. So I keep the light burning, in case he's still looking. That night, the storm hit. Wind howled through the cliffs, rain lashed against the windows, and waves slammed the rocks like cannons. Elias tried to rest, but every time he closed his eyes, he heard the sea calling. Around midnight, Jonah burst into the cottage, soaked and breathless. "The light's out," he shouted. Elias shot up. "What?" "The lamp. It's gone dark." Without thinking, Elias grabbed his coat and ran into the storm. The wind nearly knocked him off the path. Rain blinded him. The ground turned to mud. But he kept climbing the steps to the tower, every muscle screaming, every breath burning. When he reached the top, the lantern room was pitch black. The flame had died, and the glass shuddered with every gust. Jonah stumbled in behind him, clutching the railing. "We can fix it." Elias's hands shook as he tried to relight the wick. The match snapped. Then another. "Come on," he muttered. "Come on, boy." Jonah grabbed a lantern from the wall and struck a match. "Here." Together they shielded the flame, coaxing it to life. For a moment, nothing. Then a flicker. A glow. The light flared, sweeping across the storm like an eye opening in the dark. Elias collapsed against the wall, gasping. "We did it." Jonah smiled through the rain. "He'd be proud, you know." Elias looked up sharply. "What?" "Your son. He'd be proud you never stopped keeping the light." Elias closed his eyes. Maybe. When morning came, the storm had passed. The sea was calm again, gray, endless, whispering softly against the rocks. Elias stood at the railing, exhausted but peaceful. Jonah came up beside him. "I think I got everything I need for the project." Elias nodded. "Good. Make sure the world remembers this place." Jonah hesitated. "I was thinking maybe I could come back sometimes. To help." Elias smiled faintly. "You do that, son." Jonah blinked.
So?
Elias looked out at the horizon. "Old habit, but I mean it." Jonah's eyes softened. "Then I'll see you soon, Dad." Elias turned sharply, surprised, but Jonah was already heading down the steps, the morning sun at his back. Weeks passed. Elias waited for Jonah's truck every Saturday, but it never came. Finally, one afternoon, he drove down to the village to ask around. The shopkeeper frowned. "Jonah? The photographer?" "Yeah." The man hesitated. "Elias. Jonah Winters died last year. Boat accident off the Cape. You didn't know?" Elias's heart stopped. "That's not possible."
"I'm sorry."
Happened last February. Elias drove home in silence. That night, the sea was calm again, too calm. He climbed the lighthouse one last time. The lamp flickered as he reached the top, its glow reflecting off the glass like a heartbeat. Elias whispered into the wind, "Caleb, Jonah, if you're out there, I hope you found your way home." Then he lit the lamp brighter than ever before. The beam swept across the horizon, piercing the fog, strong and steady. And for the first time in 16 years, Elias swore he saw two figures standing on the water, side by side, waving. He smiled, tears mixing with salt. "Keep the light burning," he whispered. "Always." The waves answered softly. The end.